Okay, guys. So this is the last lesson for Unit 2. So this is on developmental milestones and ecological systems theory. So in this particular topic, we will be talking about two theories relative to biological development. That would be the maturational development theory of Arnold Jessel and the ecological systems theory of Yuri Bronfenbrenner. Okay? So, as for our objectives, of course, we look into these theories and their implications to development and to learning as well. So first, we will be talking about the developmental milestones theory or the maturational developmental theory of Jessel. So Arnold Jessel was an American psychologist and pediatrician who devoted his life to understanding child development and abnormalities. So his theory is known as maturational development theory. So yung concept ng maturation na once we reach that period of our development where we um where our development is at its maximum, no? So kumbaga in terms of height, na-reach mo na yung highest peak of height mo, and there can be no way for you to increase in height because that's your maturational cessation or threshold, no, when it comes to that particular growth characteristic. Okay? So according to Giselle, there are two major forces that influence children's growth and development. And what are these? No? That the external factor and the internal factor. So in short, we have the genetic and environment, genes and environment. So the child is a product of his environment and the child is activated by his genes within. So these are two major factors that affect development actually. No, we have genes or heredity and environment. So Giselle was the first theorist to systematically study the stages of development and the first researcher to demonstrate that a child's developmental age or stage of development may be different from his or her chronological age. So, may mga bata na hindi tugma yung developmental age nila sa kanilang chronological age. Anong ibig mong sabihin, ma'am? Ang chronological age, guys, is your age based on your birthday. So say for example, in my case, I am 40 years old, no? So that's my chronological age. The developmental age is whether my development or the growth that has taken place in me or the development that I experience would coincide with my uh, chronological age. No? So, isa si Giselle, in fact, siya yung isa sa mga pinakauna na nagsabi na, well, may mga cases ng developmental lag. Alam niyo yung ibig sabihin ng developmental lag? Yung, kumbaga, late bloomer, late na nagde-develop, no? May mga cases na either late nagde-develop or pwedeng merong disability or pwedeng merong impairment, no? Or there are certain experiences of the child which would lead him or her to experiencing developmental lag, no? So hindi tugma yung development niya base sa kanyang edad. That is what it meant there. That there are cases, no, of which children's chronological age does not coincide with their development. Okay? Now, Giselle believes about individual differences. No? So this is where um, he was able to conclude, no, that not all of us, while we go through the same developmental stages, the maturational process, no, may differ or actually differs from one to another. no? So infants traits not only our physical development but even our psychological or personality development. No? So infants' traits are inherited both from the family and from the race as a whole. At the same time, children have innate and prefigured individual development pathways. So he was just trying to emphasize the two major factors that affect development, that would be the external factor or the environment, and the internal factor or the genes and heredity. No? So even when it comes to temperament, no, we actually have inherited some certain predispositions. So ibig sabihin, meron tinatawag na genetic, no, influence pagdating sa ating temperament, not only in terms of physical skills but even of cognitive abilities and of temperament, no? So this actually limits plasticity. Remember in lesson 3 we made mention about neuroscience or plasticity of the brain, no, where environment may impact, no, changes in the brain. So the experiences of the child as brought about by his or her interactions with people in his or her environment could bring about certain changes in the development of the brain, and that's what we call plasticity. But according to Giselle, no, even the genetic characteristics that we inherit may actually limit plasticity. Okay? So Giselle's maturation theory, according to him, a child or her or a teenager will develop only according to what they have programmed in their genetics. So kumbaga, ang limit ng maturation ay yung kung ano ang na-provide sa atin through our genes, no? Like no matter how much the environment may facilitate, no? Kumbaga, hanggang doon lang kasi yun lang yung ina-unfold o ia-unfold based on our genes. So the maturation theory focuses on physical and mental development. Giselle saw these development patterns being determined by a child's heredity. In fact, yun yung isa sa mga contention niya. Mas naniniwala siya na sa dalawang ito, heredity and environment, mas lamang ang heredity. No? So sabi niya, he observed and recorded changes in the growth and development of children from infancy to adulthood, and was able to identify developmental milestones or events, no, that occur at specific age level. So parang ito ay in relation to the developmental task na meron talagang tayong kayang gawin at a particular stage, dahil sa stage na yan ay nagmamature yung physical part, or dahil sa stage na yan, merong physical development at mental development na nangyayari sa atin. Okay? So, which have been used as helpful guidelines for parents to track their children's development. So that if that at that particular stage hindi nangyari yon, pwede kang magkaroon ng suspetsa na may developmental lag kaya ang aking anak, no? Kumbaga parang meron bang mali, no? So kumbaga it would be a red flag, no? For instance, at 1 year of age, if your child could hardly stand or walk on his or attempt to at least walk man lang without your support, no? Kasi at age 1, makikita mo may mga baby na talagang naglalakad na on their own. Pero yung anak mo hindi pa niya kayang gawin. So malamang that would give you a cue that something might be wrong on the development of your child. So Giselle was particularly opposed to efforts to teach children things ahead of schedule. So ito yung sinasabi niya na since nag-a-unfold naman normally, directional kasi ang development at predictable. So at this age, ito yung mga aasahan mo. No? So hindi mo na kailangang i-stimulate pa kasi anyway darating naman. Kumbaga parang bakit mo pa i-stimulate? Magde-develop naman, magmamature naman siya at that stage at magde-develop naman halimbawa yung skill niya on that. yung siguro pwedeng motor skill, no? So walking for example, barim nga mawag nga dendelo nan min, parang gano'n. Hindi mo na kailangan pang turuang maglakad kasi anyway makakapaglakad naman yan. So yun yung pananaw niya. Sabi niya, children will sit up, walk, and talk when they are ready. So meron din siyang somewhat relevance yung sinasabi niya kasi yung maturation nga, no, in relation to law of readiness, no, that you cannot teach, or if no matter how much you teach a child, if the child is not yet physically prepared for such a task, then the child can never do the task effectively, no. So Giselle is telling us that why should you still simulate or teach anyway at that stage. The child is able to do that because genetically or um, physiologically, that is where his development is directed to, parang ganun. So, at the right moment, they will simply begin to master a task from their own inner urges. So, until then, teaching will be of little value, and teaching will be of little value and may create tensions between caretakers and children. So, uh, what do I mean in there? So para bang sinasabi niya, dinidiscourage niya yung at that stage, dinidiscourage niyang um, pangunahan mong turuan ang isang bata na hindi pa nagmamature para dun sa task na yon. While it may be true, it may run in contrary to the principle of development, that development is aided by stimulation. No? So, tama siya in a way na kasi sa learning, hindi mo kahit gaano ka kagaling na teacher, kung hindi pa prepared, kung hindi matured yung bata para sa skill o task na binibigay mo, hindi pa niya yan kayang matutunan, no? Pero dun on the other side of the coin, there is a principle that development is aided by stimulation. So, you could somewhat provide activities that would stimulate the development of the skill of the child, no? So either way, Giselle embraces the idea that teaching is futile if the child is not yet ready for such task that you would teach. Okay. Now, as to the observations of Giselle, there are other principles that he espoused, and this would be the principle of reciprocal interweaving and functional asymmetry. Okay? So, what about this? Actually, tatlo ata to. Pangatlo is self-regulation. So, we have the principle of reciprocal interweaving. So, this refers to the developmental process by which two tendencies gradually reach an effective organization. So, for example, in the development of handedness, remember handedness, yung preference of the child to use either of the hand, the right or the left hand, no? So, the baby first uses one hand, then both together again. So, during babyhood, wala pa siyang preference for a particular hand. Wala pang dominant hand. Actually, ambidextrous sila. Pwedeng yung right hand ang ginagamit nila, and then later on, pwedeng yung left hand, and then later on, pwedeng both hands. It's only during the early childhood stage, no, where handedness is fixed, no. So, preference as to both hands are just but normal during the babyhood stage, and later on as they reach maturation of the fine muscles, no, they now have a one-handed preference, no, they would now prefer making use of either the right or either the hand, the left. Okay, so kaya siya reciprocal interweaving it's because the back and forth quality of preferences suggests the metaphor of weaving. So in particular applied to handedness, no? When babies don't prefer yet any of the hands because they actually make use of both. Okay? Then the infant's asymmetric tendency, yung functional asymmetry is applied to the tonic neck reflex or the fencing reflex. Napansin nyo sa mga babies, hindi pa nila kayang tumagilid with their bodies. Hence, kapag tumagilid sila, ang tumatagilid lang ay yung head at saka yung kamay. At kapag tumagilid sila, no, they flex their arms, no? So parang nagfe-fencing. Alam niyo yung fencing na sports, no? They flex their arms. So that's what we call the fencing reflex or the tonic neck reflex, no? So it says here the infant's asymmetric tendency is seen in the tonic neck reflex, a reflex Giselle discovered in humans. So he noted that babies prefer to lie with their heads turned one side, and when they do so, they automatically assume the tonic neck reflex posture. So yung functional asymmetry is applied to specifically the tonic neck reflex. Okay? So another would be self-regulation. So in self-regulation, Giselle believed that Giselle strongly believed in the uniqueness of each child. No, however, he posited that um, okay, he posited about universalities in terms of observations as to behavior of children or babies, no? So he wrote about child at ages 2 to 3 and so on, as if he could expect all children at each age to behave in exactly the same way. So yung age norms, no? He actually uh, okay. So this is his idea, no? He never indicated. Okay, so the cell's actual position was that all normal children go through the same sequences, no? But they vary in their rates of development. Natural, no? While there is individual differences, there are universalities when it comes to our development. So we follow through the same stages, only that we differ in terms as to the rate of development. Meron yung mga nauunang naglalakad, nahuhuling magsalita, meron yung mga nauunang magsalita, nahuhuling maglalakad. So meron pa ring variabilities when it comes to development. Not only in the physical aspect, but even in terms of personality and temperament. Okay? And another theory that we will be focusing on to in this lecture would be the ecological systems theory of Yuri Bronfenbrenner. So, what is this ecological systems theory? So, para bang sinasabi niya na, well, tayo ay social beings. And as social beings, we live in an ecosystem. We are in a system, in ecology. Huh? So, as a developing individual, we are in a system of relationships actually. So what does it mean here? The role of the environment. No? Kung si Giselle, ang pinaka-hina-highlight niya is the heredity. Dito naman kay Bronfenbrenner, ang hina-highlight niya ay ang what? Ang environment. So environmental factors affect the development of the child. So even to the extent of the looking into unique characteristics like personality, no? Our temperament are actually influenced by people around us, by our family specifically. Okay? So the social-cultural context of our development. So there are two theorists who actually propose on this. We have Bronfenbrenner and Garbarino. Although it's Yuri Bronfenbrenner who is most often tawag dyan, most often acknowledged, no? So what about Bronfenbrenner's theory? There are different systems daw that had to be considered when it comes to development, no? Physical, biological, and even emotional and uh, um, cognitive. So what are these? We have microsystems. So tingnan ninyo tingnan na lang ninyo yung figure dito, no? So imagine a nest. Alam niyo yung nest, yung kung saan nandun yung ibon. Yung pinakagitna nung nest, that's the child, no? And the other layers, the first layer nearest to the center, no, is your microsystem. Okay? So what is the microsystem? Microsystem is the innermost level of the environment, which actually talks about the context, no, that consists people and objects in the child's immediate environment. So who are in your immediate environment? Of course, your direct connection to your parents, to your siblings, to your family members, no? So, if there are persons who are most influential to your development, that would be the people in your microsystem, because these are the very people whom you are with most of the time. These are the very people who first interacted with you. These are the very people who laid the foundation in terms of behavior, no, particularly for those that they have shown to you, no? For those that they have taught to you. Okay? So, that's the micro system. Okay? So, sabi dyan, bidirectional influences. Why directional influences? Because whether we like it or not, our family members influences us, and in the same way, we also influence our family members, no? Consciously, unconsciously. Okay? So, what are in your microsystem? So you have there your home, your school, because even your classmates, no, actually are considered in your microsystem. Bakit? Kasi imagine yung 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you are with them. So imagine the influence that they have with you. Then we also have the mesosystem. What comes after the microsystem is the mesosystem. So what's the mesosystem? This represents the connection between the microsystem, such as the home, the school, and the neighborhood. No? So the relationships that are created when the home collaborates with the school, or when family members interacts with people in the neighborhood, no? That's what mesosystem is. So example, if there's a bad experience of a parent, no, a working parent, no, in his or her workplace, then the parent comes home with this bad mood, and the parent would ano ba yon, displace the bad mood to the child. No? So it will in one way or the other affect the child. No? So that's the mesosystem. The interrelationship, the interaction, sabi nga dyan, the interactional influences of the relationships shared by people in your microsystems. Okay? And then we also have your uh, exosystem. What about your exosystem? This refers to the social settings that a person may not experience firsthand, but which will influence development. What, for instance, a mother may pay more attention to her children when her work is going smoothly and when they have lost stress. When her work is not going smoothly or when they experience high stress, she may not have as much energy for her child. No? So, going back in here, your exosystem again, no, would be looking into the specific context of your uh parents work, no? Ayan. So, ayan. So, social settings. Tingnan niyo din, social settings that a person, no, may not experience. Siguro you could substantiate more, you could read more on this particular layer of the ecological system, so you could be able to have substantiation on this particular layer. Then we also have macro. Macro is the outer, is it the outermost layer? Yeah, the macro system is the outermost layer, and it composes of the um bigger group. Okay, so it now includes the subculture and even the culture, no, to which your micro, your meso, and your exosystem are embedded. Okay, so the mother, her child, workplace, they all form part of a larger cultural setting. Okay, so which in one way or the other would also affect the yung buong bansa. Meron halimbawa yung economic situation natin ng ating bansa. Okay, maaring directly hindi tayo yung naapektuhan. Maaring yung parents natin, for instance, because they are the providers, pero how our parents would provide to us based on their the challenges they have as to the economic stability of our country would also affect us, children. Okay? And then chronosystem, um, the part of the model uh, which suggests time as a factor in child's development. So for example, important life events such as birth of a sibling, beginning of a school, parents' divorce, all are contributory to the development of the child. So the significant events that are experienced, no, by the child, no, with time element, no, um, would all contribute or would all form part of what we call the chronosystem. Okay? So as to the application task, again, I will be sending this to your GC for your specific um, for the specific or for the details of the instruction. So again, that would be all for this lesson. Thank you and God bless.